Good afternoon. Welcome. This session has a super long name on the thing, but I'm just going to call it Creating with Canva. Some things, I have a bit.ly here, bit.ly CW Canva. You can find this presentation at that bit.ly, and also I will upload a recording of this presentation. I'll just ask that you save any questions you have towards the end because I have built-in questions. Okay, Creating with Canva. I have created this whole presentation using Canva also. So all of the features you see in my presentation are features of Canva. Okay, so here's me. My name is Claire Roble. I'm a circulation clerk at Downers Grove North High School Library. I am in my last semester of getting my Master's of Library and Information Science, student teaching next semester. And I have been using Canva for 3 years professionally. I first encountered it at my internship at Thomas Ford Memorial Library, just using the free account, and then when I got my current job, I got the pro account because of my educator email, and it really has made a big difference. So here are some things that you can do with Canva. You can make multiple social media posts. That means Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Facebook cover photos. They're all different dimensions. You can also do presentations like this one. You can do brochures, pamphlets, trifolds. You can do cards, invitations, and so many more. Some benefits of Canva Pro, which is what I use. You are able to make a brand kit. A brand kit, you're able to include the fonts that you use the most, the colors you use the most, the images that you use the most, that you repeat in your designs. You have full access to all of the content. So I'll show you what it looks like when something is free to you through the pro account versus free to a free user. You can also do custom sizing. My library just recently benefited from this because we wanted custom signs for the windows, which are a weird size because they were like built into a door. So through Canva Pro, we were able to make a custom size template that we were able to order. The way to sign up for Canva Pro is if you sign up using an educator email, you select teacher, and then it'll prompt you to redeem a Canva Pro account for free. You might have to submit documentation proving that you are an educator, but it's a very simple process. So here are just some examples of some presentations that I've made for my library. So we don't have bulletin boards, we have TV screens that rotate through slideshows. And so I use slides to put out information, talk about our programming, advertise the new books. I have slides about the Lincolns for this year, like this. And all of these I've used in our slides and I've made with Canva. I've also used it for all the signage in our library, like I mentioned earlier. So these were displays, these were programming. We had a March Madness voting, and so I put our QR code to the Google form that did our March Madness, and they could scan it from any of the posters in the library. When masks were required, I had this sign up on all the doors. This is the sign that we currently have on our return book cart. We have a puzzle porch, which is just a big table devoted to puzzles that our kids really love. And then this is the sign that we just got custom made for our quiet study in the library. I've also used it to make logos. So this here in the middle is our Downers Grove North Library logo. We gave this out on stickers that the students could put on their Chromebooks or on their water bottles, and we made them holographic through Sticker Mule, and they all really loved it. We also are getting this as a big graphic, kind of like a fat head to put on the wall. I've also used it for the School Librarians of Western Suburbs logo. That's our Isle chapter. And then the Rebecca Cottle Young Readers Book Award. This is the award sticker that will go on the cover of the Cottle winners. So I designed all 3 of these logos using Canva. I also use it to do programming. So at the beginning of every school year, we have an activities fair, and book club always has a table at the fair. And so I have the kids do a fun little activity, guess how many books are in the library, so I designed this little sign. There's the March Madness sign again. I have an easel at our front desk. that's for the next book club pick. So this is a strange size that I custom made to fit on the easel. This is a slide that I made for our book club book. This is some interactive programming where we have this big whiteboard and we hang up these signs for each of the librarians. This is my Bitmoji. And we have the kids vote on which book we should read next. I also, those squares up there, at our activity fair, we gave out packets of tea, so we would staple those little squares to the tea. And then these are our bookmarks. So on one side, there's our book club logo, which I also designed on Canva, and on the other side was the dates of our book club. So you can use it for so many different things, not just presentations and not just posters. So making a brand, if you're interested in making a brand for your library, I think this is the first step you want to do when creating with your Canva Pro account. Making a brand is not required, but I found it very easy, especially when you're editing templates to fit with your colors and fonts and logos. With a brand, you can return to those same colors with the click of a button. They're pre-saved. You don't have to do it every time. You can easily edit layouts. As an example, these 3 colors are Canva's colors, so you'll see those all over their website. You'll see there's a hex code, and you can copy and paste that hex code to save it into your brand, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And they also have 2 fonts. One is called Canva Sans, which is this one. The other one is Canva Student Font. So most brands have 2 or 3 fonts for headings and paragraphs. I'll explain that in a minute. So this is our brand, the brand that I created for our library. I started with 3 colors up there at the top with the hex codes. But then, as I started working more, I discovered that I needed more variety. So then I expanded to 8 colors. And I don't often use all 8 in a design, but sometimes if I want more variation or more contrast, then I'll use a darker or a lighter shade than just those original 3. So I have here, you want one big font and one little font. So like the heading fonts, I usually is something, they're called display fonts, so that are really eye-catching. They're usually really modern looking, usually like big letters, and then something more traditional for like your paragraph text. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can build your brand. Canva.com/colors has so many ideas, and I'll show you some of those in a minute. But they also have a lot of pre-built brands. If you don't want to build one from scratch, you can choose one of theirs, or if you have an idea, like if your library color is green, you can start there and then add on to it. This is what the brand tab looks like on the Canva website. So up here, these are all my logos. Logos are really just images that you will use most often when designing. So you'll see I have 6 Bitmoji heads up there. That is because our library has 6 amazing library staff workers, and we use our Bitmojis a lot in the library. So I'm using those images often, so I put them in the logos so I can easily click on them again. Here are the 8 colors of my normal palette, but you can have another color palette as well. So this is our genres palette. These are the colors that we use when we genrefied our library. So you can have multiple palettes in one brand. And then here are my fonts that I use most often. So this is my complete brand look for the library that I work at. These are some ways to build your color palette. Canva has this really cool feature called Palette Generator, and there's a link to this in my presentation. This is the default example they give you. So they upload this cute picture of donuts, and from this picture, the color palette generator pulls these 4 colors, which I expanded down here. So if you are trying to start from scratch with your color palette, if you have like an image that you find online or on Pinterest or that you take on your phone, if you have an image that you think has the colors that you would like to use, you can upload it to this generator and it'll pull out colors from your photo. So this was our October, we call it our monthly card with all 6 of our staff members. So this is our October card, and these were the colors that were pulled out of it. I think it's super fun. I used it to build my wedding website as well. It's really helpful. There are 3 other resources as well. Also on the color page, there's something called color meanings. So if you're looking for a certain word to capture your environment, whether that be energetic or serenity or ambitious, You can click on these colors to see what they mean, and then they will offer color pairings and recommendations there. They also have color palette ideas that are already pre-made. You can click through any of these. And then in editor mode, there's something called styles, which is when they pair a color palette with a font pairing, and those are pre-made for you. You can choose one of those. So here's an example of, this is a slide that I thought was really pretty. I really liked the design, but it's not in my colors and it's not in my fonts. So what I did in editor mode, I just clicked on apply my style to the slide, and it took this and turned it into this. So I did not have to go through and change the color of every single flower, and I did not have to change the fonts by myself. I just clicked the button and it automatically applied it. So it went from here, which is really beautiful, with literally 2 clicks. That's all I had to do to change this. And so you would still want to change your text to be relevant to what you're trying to make, but it makes it so much easier to have a brand kit that you can just click on and apply it to the slide. So now I'm going to show you how I do the editing. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to make a slide to market our book club. And I'm going to do the example of using Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. So I'm just going to, I'm going to find an image. There are a few ways you can get an image onto Canva. One is saving it to your computer and then uploading it. Another one is just copy and pasting it. Okay, so there's my image. As you can see, there was a little wavy wave over here. So this shows your uploads. So let me start by going through this sidebar here. The first one is templates. So these, you can search for a certain kind of vibe or a theme that you're looking for. Like if you wanted blue, for example, it would show you all these blue slides. But as you're looking through the templates, there's more information that you can get. So as you hover, you see in the corner, it says 4 of 10, 5 of 10. That tells me that there are 10 slides in this particular slide set like this. And I just clicked on it to see the other ones. But not all of them have that. Most of them do, though. Something else you'll notice is you see on this one, there is a little icon right here. It's a little grad cap, and it says EDU. That means I am getting that template for free because it is through my Pro Educator account. Not all of them will have that. So, for example, this one right here does not have the little grad cap. That means anybody with a Canva account, with a free account, can use that. And that's something you'll want to notice if you have a free account. You won't have full access to all the content. That's why it is really good about the Pro account. So the next tab over here is called Elements. And this is basically anything that you are adding to the page that you're creating. So it has shapes, it has logos, tables, photos, videos, audio, charts, and these are called frames, which I'll get to in a minute, but this is like where you put all your images if you're wanting it to be a certain shape. So for example, this Heartstopper, I could not crop this to be a circle. I would have to add a circle frame and then put that in there. So frames are really helpful because they have a lot of really fun shapes, and you can also search within frames. This is a relatively new feature that they added because I emailed them and asked them to add it. So you can search like rounded, and it'll show you all these with the rounded edges. That's really helpful. Uploads here, I mentioned earlier. You can, these are all your files. You can also connect it to your Google Drive if you have your images and videos there. You can connect it that way. They're organized by images, videos, and audios. Anything that you copy and paste will be added to your uploads. So it's not just what you physically import. The next one over here is text. This is how you add a text box. So over here, when you make a brand kit, your font that you choose will be right here. So if I know I want to use my heading font, I can just click that and it'll add it there and I can edit it. They also have some already paired and already edited fonts if you scroll down, but they have a really wide range of fonts available. So styles is what I mentioned earlier. This is my library style. Here are my 8 colors. There are my 2 fonts. But if you scroll down, they already have a lot that are pre-made. So you could just scroll through these and find one that you like and use one of those.
Wait, what is that one?
These are styles. Let's see, starred is something else that I really like to use. If you are just scrolling through and you see a template that you really like, but you are not using it for this particular project, I like to star it. So how I do that is I click the little dot, 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 and then I click star. And then it'll save it in this little folder called starred. Logos I mentioned earlier, these are the images that I use most often. It doesn't have to be traditionally what you think of as a logo. You also have folders, which are really convenient because sometimes your upload tab can get really cluttered. Like I've been using Canva for a long time, and so I had to use the folders to organize all my items because I had thousands of pictures just in my uploads. And you can also, there are a lot of new features here as well. You can embed, you can make a QR code, you can do charts. There's this new feature, text, it's like an AI image creator from text that I was playing with a lot. It's really cool. So now I'm going to use all these new tabs that I just showed you, and I'm going to make a slide for our book club. So here's my image. Now, when I am making a slide from an image that I already have, I look at the image for inspiration. So in this particular image, there's watercolors. It's cool toned. It's soft. There are leaves. There's some pink. So I'm going to start by looking watercolor. Okay. So I always make a new page when I'm playing around because I don't want to mess this one up. So I just made a new page by clicking this little plus right here. You can also trash or duplicate or move it around in the order. But I made a new one. So I'm going to click this one because it looks fun. And see, when I clicked it, it expanded to show me all of the pages that are available in this template. And at the very bottom, it shows that template's design. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to click this first one. And I really like this, but I don't need all of these colors. Like the image that I'm trying to match is not rainbow. It's just mostly blues and some coral. So let me see if I can change this color. So the way I do that is I click it, and right here it says edit image. That means that I cannot change the color of it. I can only add a filter to it. Whereas this, if I click this circle here, you see how it has this little rainbow square? If I click that, I can change the color of that to be whatever I want. But I want to change these circles, and I can't change the circles, so I'm going to choose a different template. So I'll go back. I'm going to choose this one instead. So this one has the edu, which means I'm getting it for free because of my pro account. And I'm just going to choose the first slide. Okay. So now I'm going to drag my image down here just to see what it looks like. Now this little splotch over here matches pretty well, but this one, not quite. So I'm going to try and apply a filter to this to make it closer to the color that I want. So I'll click up here and edit image. And there are all these really cool tools that you have. This, I'm not going to use this right now, but this background remover tool is very helpful. I use it almost every day, and it is a pro feature. But they'll have these bars that you've probably seen if you've used Instagram or even on your phone. You can edit photos this way. You can do that if you'd like, but I scroll down and click photogenic, see all, because photogenic always has a really wide range of pretty simple edits. So for example, I want this to be more warm toned to kind of match Charlie's backpack. So I scroll down to where it says warm, and I'm going to look at these I think this one's the closest, so I'm going to click that, and it'll apply it. And it's a lot better matching already. So you'll notice when I clicked it, there are these little filter bars. And if I click it again, I can adjust how strong the filter is. So maybe I don't need it that strong, but like, this is good. So then at the bottom, there's this purple button. It says apply. You have to click that button, otherwise your edits will not save. So I'm gonna click apply. And now that matches. The second thing I'm gonna do is I try not to have my images in just their raw format because, you know, this is pretty a soft image and this is sharp corners. So I'm gonna go back to my elements and I'm gonna scroll down to my frames, click see all, and then I'm gonna search for rounded again. I know that was the example that I gave earlier. And I'm gonna find one that has rounded edges like this to match their rounded backpack shapes. Now you can add things to a frame a few ways. You can either drag it straight in there, like that, or you can drag it from here, like that. So I'm gonna put my guy in there. I'm gonna bring him over here. I just do some finagling with how I want stuff to lay out. Here I'm gonna edit the text. So if you've used Google Docs or Word, it's very similar. You click once to move it around and double click to edit. So I'm gonna say Heartstopper. Now as you can see that it's too big for the text box. I can change that a few ways. I can either edit the font size right here. I can type in the font size that I want, or I can drag it to be the font size that I want. So I'm gonna leave it like here. And I'm gonna make it left aligning. Move that up here. I'm gonna add another little title by Alice Oseman so my students know what author to look for. I'm gonna make that one smaller. Okay, I'm gonna put that under there. And then I'm gonna edit this last one to say November Book Club pick. Now this has something called a caps lock or uppercase. So this is another really handy tool. So if I wanted this to not be all uppercase, I could click this and it becomes lowercase, or click it and it all becomes uppercase again. That's really helpful. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Move it over here. Play with the alignment. Okay, so that's pretty good. But say I want to add some more. So like I see this star and I want to add another star. So you can click copy this way by right clicking and then right clicking again, paste. Now you have two, or you can do Control C, Control V. So this up here has the little yellow square. That's because it reflects what color that is. So because this is a colored square, I know I can change the color. So I'm going to click that and change the color. So this little panel of all these colors here are all the colors that you have used in your slideshow. But if you click the plus button, you have access to the full hex code, and you can choose any of them from there. So if I knew a specific hex code that I wanted to use, I could type it in right there. But you see this little eyedropper tool. If I click that, I can find a color anywhere on my screen. So even when it's off Canva, and I click, say I want to match this backpack right here, it makes the star that color. That's a really handy tool I found, especially when making these book club slides, because then I can custom make the slide to specifically match the book cover exactly. Something else you'll notice, maybe you can't see it from there, but this background is actually an image of paper. It's a paper background. But say I wanted it to just be flat white. I just click the slide, the background, and I click backspace or delete, and now it is flat white. But I don't like that either, so I'm gonna put it back. If you want to replace the background, say you want a flat color, you click the background, you see it has the white box up here. So you click that, and you can change it to whatever you want. You can do the eyedropper tool again to match it if you'd like. But say I want to replace it with a different image. So I'll go to Elements, and then I'll just search different paper. Now within my search results, you have a few different tabs. So right here you have all, and then you have graphics. Graphics in the Canva world are just like little pieces that you can add. So these little stars are graphics. These little splotches are also considered graphics. Photos are something that takes up kind of the whole page, that is a square outline. So if I wanted to replace my background with this picture, I could drag it. You see how it replaces automatically there? Or I could click it and then right click and then click replace background. Now that, I like the texture of it, but I think it's a little too strong. So if I click that again, you'll see in this upper corner over here, there's this little checkerboard fading option. And if we click that, that sets the transparency. So I can make it so it's just subtle, like that. So then I'm thinking maybe I want to put something here because there's a lot of white space. Go back to Elements. If I look at graphics, because I'm probably going to put like a little piece of an image, which is a graphic, I'll click See All. And then there's this thing called Magic Recommendations. So the Magic Recommendations are what Canva recommends for you based on that specific slide. So if I scrolled up to this page, the Magic Recommendations change. But I'll go back to my watercolor page. Now I'll see what they have for me. So I'll click See All. And these are all the recommendations they have. So I can just look through here, say I want this one, I'll click it to add it, and then I can move it around. So say I want some overlap here. Say I want it right in front of Nick's head. I can click Position in this upper right-hand corner. And this is where you can do your forward, backward, kind of the order of things, which is what it's called in like a Word doc. So if I want it in the very front, oh, I don't want that because then it covers my words. So then I can click backward, and now it's behind my words, but in front of Nick, which is what I want. Let me add something else. Maybe this pink one to match the letters. Can make it smaller, bring it over here. So now I have this pretty watercolor slide. And if I'm finishing it up to put on my slideshow, you'll see up here, there's this option that says Animate. So I'll click that, and these are like transitions, which is what they would have been called on Microsoft PowerPoint. And you can go through and click them, and if you just hover over it, it'll give you kind of a preview of what it would look like. So I also try to match this to the vibe of the slide that I'm making. So I probably would not want disco because that doesn't really match the Heartstopper vibe. I personally really like the scrapbook one, especially because this is kind of artsy. There's also more emphatic ones. Like I use Stomp when I make a slide about kids needing to return their books. Or I use another one, Breathe, I use for our creepy, like for Halloween displays, because that's kind of like creepy. But for the softer ones, you can do something like that. The thing with this is, our presentation at my high school, we use a Google slide to connect to our TVs. And so I can't connect my Canva presentation to the Google slide. So I need to download each slide individually. Now, if you don't care about the animations and the transitions, you can just download it as a PNG or an image file. But if you want to have the cool transitions, which I usually do, I will download it as a GIF. So up in this upper right-hand corner, it says share. So you can also, Canva also kind of works a little bit like Google products where you can share it with multiple users and you can all edit at the same time. Usually it is just me making these for my project, but I like this share feature if I'm trying to get somebody else's opinion and maybe somebody's out of the office and I want them to see, I can share that way. There's also an option to share on social, where if you're hooking it up to your library's social media account, for example, Instagram, you can have it planned to post on certain days or times. But to download it, I'll click this download button here. And then there are two things you want to notice. So the first one is the file type. I don't want a PDF because I can't put that on a Google slide. So PNG or JPEG is what you can use if you are not worried about animations or moving elements. You can just say that if you're like making a card or an invite or something, you can save it as a PNG. But when I save it with the moving pictures, I save it as a GIF. Now I also don't want all of the pages in my presentation. So I'll go through, and if you wanted all pages in your presentation, you would click all pages right there. But if you don't, then you unclick that, you scroll through and you find the one that you want. So I want this one. So I select that one, it says page 20, done, saving as a GIF, okay. And then I click download. This might take a little bit because GIFs usually take longer, so I'll save it as a PNG as well to show you. So I'll change it to a PNG, and I'll choose only the one that I want. Current page, 20. So double check, it's a PNG, it is only the one page. And then I'll click download. So you can see my GIF is still downloading there. But this is the finished PNG product right here. So you could just drag that onto your Google slide or whatever PowerPoint you're using in your library. And it would be a flat image, but it's still a pretty flat image. And still downloading the other one. So here my GIF has downloaded, so I'll click that to open it. So now that's what it looks like. And that's what it would upload as when I drag it to the Google slide. You can also download as videos. I have created videos on Canva before, like I've created book talks on Canva. You can there are so many different options you can use and you can create with. But that is how I use Canva most in our libraries. There's another option I made of that. Do you guys have any questions? I'll take questions. Otherwise, that is what I have. Yes?
You use this with students, like with your education, you can create accounts for your students, right?
You can create something called a classroom. So, for example, because the students, if they log in with their school email, they are not given a pro account. So somebody over at Canva is looking at who is actually an educator. But over here in no. Not classwork. Oh, invite members. That's what you could do to, you can invite via Google Classroom. And if your kids are creating something on Canva, if they're creating a presentation, they can upload it to this classwork thing where only you see it. And if you make them a part of your class, then they are given a pro account. But if they're just using it on their own, they have just the free account. Mm-hmm.
I noticed you can put it on clever.com. So I don't know if you have clever.com, but if they went onto my page, so hopefully they can access it. And you can copy the link too.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question about the Canva Pro account,
Mhm.
because when I signed up as an educator, and so I can link it to my Google Classroom. However, when I try to sign up for a Canva Pro account, it's just giving me like pricing plan, free trial, and that's it.
When you signed up, what did you sign up with your personal email or your school email?
My school,
Okay.
and my school Google account and everything. And as I was following along, I seem to have a lot of the same stuff that you do, but then I guess my point is that I was able to create a class, and if I wanted to say do a project or a template with my students, I believe I can share it with them through Google Classroom, but I can't seem to sign up for a Canva
The Pro account?
except for a 30-day trial.
Okay.
Where it's not giving me the educator option. I had to go in, I signed up for the free account, and then when I went into, I think education, the free teacher resources, and more just for educators, then I went there. Then it told me about verifying my email, and then I'm just signing up with my my Google account through my school, which.
Okay. It is, if you're just searching it, it might not be the easiest thing to find. I did this several years ago, so things might have changed. But when my coworker signed up for it a few months ago, it prompted her to redeem her educator account. So, like it's kind of like a pop-up when you first log in. So I would recommend logging out or logging back in. And if that doesn't work, then reach out to their customer service and explain, because maybe the reason that it was so easy for my coworker is because we already had at least 2 people in our library using a free or a pro education account, so they recognize that email. That could be it. But when I first started, it was not easy. I think I had to email customer service a few years ago to do it.
And I seem to have the same stuff that you're talking about without having the Canva Pro, because I was able to, like, I could go in and create logos, I could create
all
like
the
that.
all the templates, like the the dimensions, all of these are free for the free account. It's just when you get to the actual like design templates like these that you might be limited with the Pro. See all of these little grad caps?
Okay.
Whereas this one does not have a grad cap, so like if you searched watercolor in just the free account, you would not be able to use any of these. You'd only be able to use this one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This presentation will be available at this bit.ly, like I said at the beginning. So my presentation will be there, and also I have a recording of this in case you want to hear me talking about it again. I will post that this weekend, so that'll also be on the website. Yes?
Will you also add it to the folder for IO? It's not in there.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.